Hope it does.
All right, so here we go. Welcome to episode 1 of the Worldwide Podcast. Obviously, I'm an American Norwich City fan, which is there's a very few amount in the United States of America, and I'm here with Lewis, NCFC updates, in Norwich City today. 1-1 draw against Derby County. We have two different kind of ideas of how the game went. Obviously, we should have gotten 3 points. That's the moral gist of the story here. But Lewis, what do you have to say about it?
Well, first off, thank you for starting this up. I mean, it's needed. If you want to see my thoughts basically straight after the match, check my TikTok out because there I said basically what I wanted to say. But I think at the end of the day, performance didn't deserve the 3 points. As much as it frustrates me that we didn't win, because I think we should be beating teams like Derby if we want to push in for the playoffs. If you don't perform to get the 3 points, you don't deserve the 3 points at the end of the day. Even though we have the best striker in the league by an absolute mile, it didn't work out today.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not wrong with anything he's saying there. The one thing I'll say is that Hoff clearly seems to have an issue breaking down teams when they have all 11 men behind the ball. We've seen it in games already this season. That's pretty much what Derby did the entirety of this game. We found a breakthrough, but the style of football we play, that free flowing, quality football that we like with Hoff, it doesn't seem to shine through these teams that play that low block. And as much as I love Hoff, it really is it's a negative to his game, and he hasn't truly seemed to find a solution. And now, one thing I want to kind of bring into the talk here is that we play Preston this coming Tuesday. We're gonna have another one out for the Preston game. Um, but the one thing, and I actually did a watch along to the game. It's the only watch along I did to that game. And the one thing I realized, we went down 2-0 early in the first half. Preston were playing a low block in that game, relatively low block. That's classic Preston, right? Just defense. And the one time where I seen Hoff change the formation, he went to a three back and kind of matched the way Preston were playing, and came back 2-2, right? He hasn't seemed to switch the formation around. There's obviously the interchange of bringing Honest back into the game. Obviously, we started Marcelino today, which was great to see him back. But to match those teams and to get chances and to find gaps, he does lack that formational change within games, which he needs to improve on, because it should have been 3 points. And now at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, Jack Stacey, it's reckless, it's careless, it's a lack of maturity. Even though he's one of the highest paid players and one of the players that the younger ones look up to. I mean, that's plain and simple. That's what that is. But you don't put that foot up. We probably defend and we get away with the 3 points. But there's a lot that I think went into that game. Lewis, you have anything to say?
Um, just schoolboy error from one of our most experienced players. I didn't like the. I thought that Thorpe's substitutions weren't the greatest. Obviously, Marcelino coming in, I wouldn't have started him anyway, because I don't really want to risk him. I would have probably started Oscar in that midfield three, and then maybe give him 30 minutes at the end of the game. He decided to start Nunez and then bring on Slimani, which I'm alright for. But then it's the choice of bringing on Stacey for Fisher, who I don't think Fisher had a bad game. I think Fisher, especially when we're defending a 1-0 lead as well, you want your better defender, not a guy who makes more runs down the wing. You want Fisher on at right back, and then also bringing on Schwartau, a midfielder at right wing, when we literally brought in a right winger and he was on the bench today. I think Thorpe's decisions in those subs really didn't help us today, but the main blame has to be on Stacey for making that error. Now, people on social media are saying Stacey should leave, rip up the contract. It's one error. This guy's been very good for us considering he was a free transfer. So there's nothing much we can really do. But personally, I think going forward, we need to trust Fisher more, giving him less rests and just give him more time because at the end of the day, he is the better right back.
Yeah, and I think if you're really trying to push, like going off what Lewis said, if you're really trying to push for those playoff spots, you look at every team above us, right? Within the games, you don't really want to change that, like your back line. You really don't. You can mix and match the players going forward, midfielders, attackers. That's all right. You don't want to necessarily change that back line, and we kind of see it every game. It's bar Swansea. We make those kind of defensive changes. We see Mahava, who we'll get onto him later, and we bring on Crescene again. Fisher, Stacey. I think we have to keep it the same through the entirety of the match. We see it with Duffy and Doyle, um, and changing up the back line. It kind of just it adds a little bit of nervousness. It's the gel isn't quite there from the start of the game, and I think that is a big issue with Huff. He seems to do that every game. I'm not sure I quite understand it. Obviously, it works sometimes. If he didn't do it a few games ago and bring Mahavo in, then we wouldn't have seen what a player he is. So there is positives to it, of course. But I would say, like, you have to stick to the back four that you start with. Mixing and matching. I think the main reason Stacey's getting minutes is because of the contract he's on. I don't think that's a bad thing to say. I think that there's probably a gentleman's agreement maybe there with getting Jack on, and it's not. We're not saying that he's not a good player, but with Kellen Fisher, the way he's been playing, the way he's matured this season, kind of out of nowhere. I don't really think any of us expected this coming out of last season. I want Kellen to play a full 90 minutes. I don't want to see Jack coming on if he's not starting. Same thing with Mahavo. I like Crescene, but from now on, I don't want to see them being subbed off at any point in this game, to be honest with you.
I mean, the main Hoff said it himself. The main reason he subbed Mahova off was because he was tired. He wanted Mahova to play the full 90, which maybe could have led to maybe we seen Jurasek or McConville. Didn't end up that way, but I don't. I'm not against like Crescenti coming on. I think Crescenti offers something else. I think if we have to bring on a fullback, I'd rather bring on Crescenti than Stacey because Crescenti he's very good defensively. He offers that more width. I think he offers a bit more going forward on the left because obviously we've seen him in Mahovo because he's still quite young and he's still getting used to it. He very rarely tries to go with the ball. He always tries to find that quick pass. As we saw with the goal, if he doesn't make that quick pass into Sargent, we don't score. Simple as that.
Yeah.
But I think, like the 70th minute, let's say it's 0-0 or 1-1, you bring on Crescenti for 20 minutes to give that overlapping option down the left-hand side because we know Crescenti's good at that. I mean, but he scored against Watford in like his third game for us or something mental like that because he got into that position because he's such good a wing back. So Crescenti I'm not mad about. It's just mainly Stacey.
Mm-hmm.
Probably he's getting minutes due to his money, and Hoff's like we kind of need to play him because he's getting paid so much. But I think from now on we really have to trust Fisher to be able to make those full 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, especially just what we've seen this season with Kellen. I don't think he wants to come off. I really don't think he wants to. You can tell. I mean, I'm a man for passion, right? And he puts in crunchers. I mean, every game. He's absolutely phenomenal defensively, Kellen Fisher, which is what we need, especially with the way we play. We need those workaholic fullbacks, and Kellen Fisher is definitely one of them. And we need to see more of it. And now, the one thing I also want to ask you, Lewis, and I'm not sure how you're gonna feel about this, and I'm not sure how all of our other North fans are gonna feel about it, but if we were to bring on Jose Cordoba, right, and switch to a back 3/5 for the final 20 minutes, kind of the match what Derby is doing, because I see people complaining about the subs we made. We should have maybe gone more defensive, or why didn't Mate Jurasek get his debut today? But if in another world we brought in Jose Cordoba and we had more defensive stability with the last 20 minutes of the game, would it have been a good response or a bad response? Because it seems anything that Hoff does in those areas of the pitch, example today, bad subs. But if you brought in Cordoba, I feel like it still would have been the exact same thing. So sometimes I kind of struggle to see where people are coming from, especially when we were up 1-0. But I want to hear what you have to say about that.
I mean, fans are always going to be against the manager for game management when it's a sub that makes the error. But at the end of the day, Hoff doesn't know that Stacey's going to be doing those schoolboy errors. He doesn't know Stacey's going to be running up the field and not running back. Because I mean, I turned the game off with like 3 minutes to go because I was like, I can't be bothered to finish this. But apparently, when it was 1-1, Stacey went on a run, and then Sargent had to cover 70-yard sprint to cover his position.
That
that just shows that sometimes the subs just isn't the right move. Like Stacey clearly today just wasn't up for it. You can see he rarely comes back. I mean, I'd like to go back to what Fashnat said in the Talk Norwich City podcast. He said because obviously he was always the right winger in front of Stacey.
Mm-hmm.
He said at times he felt like a number 6 because how much Stacey was in front of him. I think Stacey gets too forward too much. He doesn't have that work rate. I don't think he has the stamina or pace anymore to do this back and forth. We see it with Fisher. Fisher doesn't offer that wide out. He offers that inside out, which I like more because it reserves energy. It keeps him more compact. Keeps him in the game. Whereas if Stacey's there, he has to go all the way up to the right wing, and then he has so much distance to travel. Whereas Fisher's rarely out of position.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not that Thorup made the wrong decisions. It's that the players he brought on made the wrong decisions. And Stacey, clearly today, it wasn't his day. I know some people like Stacey. I don't mind him, but personally for me, I think moving forward, we need to see less and less minutes of him and more trust and faith that Fisher can fill out the full 90 minutes.
I'm sure this match especially would have given Thorup that idea now. I really hope he's going to give Kellen that trust. And going back to what you said about Christian Fasnacht, what you were saying, obviously that was under Wagner. There's a little bit we could say there. I mean, Wagner, we all know. We all know how frustrated we got with the way he played. But we see it this season. We don't need that from Stacey. Regardless, he's put up some assists this season, so we can't necessarily fault his attacking ability with Stacey this season. But one of our biggest strengths, especially coming out of this January transfer market, is our wingers. Matej Jirasek, Onel Hernandez, Ante Cernac, Lewis Dobbin. I know you don't like Onel. Or me putting Onel.
I love
okay,
the man,
yeah.
He just can't hit a barn door.
I know. And I'm mainly saying Onel off the bench because I still for some reason, and people are going to probably say after I said that oh, like this American talking, I'm already expecting it, but I know that me putting my voice forward, I'm going to have to accept it just because. But there's nothing. I still have that feeling from the 18-19 season with Onel, especially when he comes off the bench. He gets on the ball and you just think something's going to happen because he just goes at defenders. And that's what I like with all of our attackers. We get that from Dobbin. He's the exact same way. I really, really, really like Lewis Dobbin. But moving back to what we were saying before, we have those wingers now. Ante, maybe we don't classify him as a winger. We still don't really know what Hoff really wants with Ante Cernac, but we'll see what happens in the future. We have those direct, pacey, good dribbling winners. And he's been out for 6 games. We get it back on Tuesday. I forgot to include Borja Sainz in that, which is absolutely ridiculous. But he is still the top scorer with he's on 16 this season, but 15 in the league, right?
15 in the league.
Yeah.
18 goals and assists. Still top scorer and top goal and assist merchant.
Which is great because we got to think about it. He got 1 assist.
He hasn't scored since November and got 1 assist in January. He went on like an 8-game spree without a goal or an assist.
And he's still the leading goal scorer.
This guy had a brilliant first 2 months. Derby fans know specifically.
Yeah.
Derby fans know he had a brilliant first. And Plymouth fans.
Yeah. I mean that's what we have, and us just saying those names shows that the playoff push and our hopes for playoffs should really, really, really be in our heads now. And obviously, we've had rough patches this season, 100%. But I have always seen like the ability we have with this team. We have a great group. If we don't go up this season, I really hope we push for automatic promotion next season. I think personally that's what our aim should be. If it is, if it's not, we'll see what the board says. We'll see what Napper says. We'll see what Hoff says. But that's what I think our aim should be. And I think at this point in the season, we need to be in that playoff contention. And again, unnecessary drop of 3 points today. But again, we always struggle against these low block teams. And Hoff needs to have a solution to that. He really needs to have a solution to that. We can't just rely on Josh Sargent. We can't just rely on him all the time. Speaking of Josh Sargent, if he keeps up this form, he could actually probably overtake Borja for the championship top scorer. And considering he's been out for 3.5, 4 months, and he's already doing this, it just shows how good of a striker he is.
I think it shows as well that we would probably be close to Sunderland in terms of points if we had him for the full season. Because if you think before, he had 9 goal contributions in 12 games before he got injured. And Sainz didn't even have his full 15 goals. Like, them two were so well, they just gelled so well together. And I genuinely believe if he was fit the whole season, he'd be on 20 plus goals by now. Probably have at least 5 assists. And we'd probably be on around 55 points. I'm not putting points out of anywhere, but I think there's so many games that we would have won because we would have had a true out-and-out striker, the best striker in the league, along with Borja Sainz.
Going off what you said about having a true striker too. Obviously, we just brought Ante in this summer. I've said to Lewis this many of times off. Obviously not on a recording, but there had been calls saying, Sargent, he's too injury prone. We need to get a new striker in. But I think it is, and I really hope it doesn't happen. Obviously, he played 90 minutes today. We need to have another reliable striker to come off the bench that knows his role but can come in for Sargent, because I feel like too many times we run him into the ground. I think he is too, but Hoff needs to make him that man. Hoff needs to make him that man.
He's not a winger.
He's not. You can tell by the build. You can tell by the build. You can tell by the way Ante moves that he's not. And if he... No, go ahead.
I think Ante would work perfectly in a two striker formation. Like, I know we wouldn't do it because obviously he wants to. We probably want him as the backup to Sarge. Him and Sarge in like a 4-4-2, with Sarge dropping in deep to then lay off the run, and then Ante with his left foot just curling it in, because we know how good his left foot is. I genuinely believe he'd work so much better in a two-man formation, or two striker formation, should I say? But I wouldn't be against him being our backup striker, because I think he's so much better than Ida. Like, he's already close to beating Ida's record for us last season, and last season it was his best season ever. Like, come on, Adam Ida is barely succeeding in Scotland, for God's sake. Well, people thought this guy was going to be like unbelievable.
He's succeeding.
Yeah, all right, he's doing all right. He did score against Aston Villa in the Champions League. He still lost, but all right. I liked Adam Ida, but he always had that poor first touch. I think if Ante can work on his first touch, because there were some touches today I was like, a bit too strong, a bit too heavy. If he controls it a bit more, we have a better chance, and he can get his head up a bit more. Obviously he's brilliant with runs. We saw it against Swansea. Callum Doyle found him twice, and it was brilliant runs from him. Callum Doyle, by the way, what a passer of the ball. If he can keep making them runs, keep getting into the space, he'll do just fine. I reckon he can hit 10 goals this season. He's already got 5 in the league.
I agree. 10. And the thing with Ante as well is, like, as you just said, he hasn't necessarily been playing well the entire season, but he's still kind of picking up goal contributions, goals, assists. He's still picking up contributions, and that shows a good player. When you're not necessarily playing well and you're picking up contributions like that, that shows there's something in there. And I fully feel next season that we could have a gem in our hands. Having a full season under his belt going into next season, no matter where we are, um, I
Oh,
think it'd be great.
I hope we
But
keep Sarge.
I think we will. I don't. I think we will.
I'm just scared some MLS club's going to pay like 30 million for it. Being like, we can't say no for an answer.
I got yeah. Honestly, I agree with you. How, how in the world Emmanuel Latte Lot went to Atlanta
25,
for
wasn't it, to Atlanta United?
25 million, 23 million?
Yeah.
What, he had one alright season last year, and he's having an okay. He had an okay. Well, he was in double digits this season. But yeah, 20 odd million for Emmanuel Latte Lot is crazy. And looking at that money, if a MLS team were to give us 30 million for Josh Sargent,
Can't say no.
we can't say no to that. So it's kind of scary. But yeah, we'll kind of see what happens. Lewis, you brought up the 4-4-2 situation, and I was kind of struggling to think of how one man would fit in it. And we also need him to sign a new contract. That's Emiliano Marcondes. How would he fit in that formation?
See, as like a backup to Sarge, because we know Marcondes is going to play in the false nine. Sarge
Okay.
or base. So at times, if you played a 4-4-2, we see it even in the 4-3-3 when he's the lone striker. Sarge drops in deep to offer that pass and then passes out quickly. Marcondes can do that as well. And I think Marcondes would have a bit more creative. Yes, he wouldn't be as good as a goal scorer as Sargent, obviously not. But he could offer that creative outlet that we need from like the 30th minute. Or like from the 60th minute onwards, like for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Or you bring him on the wide. I know people wouldn't want that because he's not the quickest, and you probably want him more in the central. But you could always do that. I mean, it's all about Marcondes. If you want to favour Marcondes, you play the 4-3-3. If you want to, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Obviously, we can't. I guess we kind of discuss our free agent signings. Obviously, Timu still has to be number one, but I'll tell you what. In recent years, in terms of free agent signings, Emiliano Marcondes has absolutely blown me away this season. He's an unbelievable footballer. I really like the way he plays, and I really, really hope that we sign him down to a contract. I think we will. I think he likes it here. From what I've heard, he really does. And obviously, I've heard he's had some really, really tough things happen to him in the past, and he's finally came into light here at Norwich again and is finding form. So I really hope we bring him into the equation. Someone else I want to talk about, obviously made his return back today, is Marcelino Nunez. Now, Lewis, you watched the game today. Obviously, I had work, so I listened to the entire thing. How did Marcy look coming back?
I didn't. In the McLean role, where he's the one dropping deep and then fight on the swivel. McLean needs to be the one as the deepest midfielder out of the three needs to be Kenny McLean.
Yeah.
Because then he gets the ball quickly and then he finds it and then give Nunez the time to run. Because Nunez on his day, oh my god, what a player! Like today we had a goal disallowed for offside. I think both goals made a fantastic ball to Dobbin, and Dobbin, if he made his run about half a second later, he would have been onside.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a fantastic ball to Dobbin, and obviously it would have been an assist back if Dobbin was onside, but he wasn't. I think Nunez wasn't back to himself, but he certainly wasn't awful. He was probably one of our better players on the field, considering the game wasn't that good.
We kind of saw this because Nunez he kind of had the same length period out with his first injury at the start of the season, and it kind of took him a few games to get back, and then he started scoring every game. Obviously, I remember the win away at Luton just made the difference, just like that. Lewis was there. I can't wait to get over there. By the way, I hopefully I'm getting over there in April. I don't know if I am, but dude, there's nothing more I'd want to do.
I'm over for the playoff final at Wembley,
or for the playoff final. I just think about it, and it really gets me going. I'm not gonna lie. There's nothing more I'd want to do, right? I've told Lewis this before. There is, at a point in my life, I want to live in Norwich for a year, if I could somehow do this. Go to every single home game and go to every single away day. If I could somehow make that happen in my life, then it's mission accomplished, life completed. But obviously, we'll see what happens. I got to deliver at least once first before I can even start thinking about that. But swiftly moving onwards to the prodigy in our left back position, Lucien Mahavo. What a player we have, and he has not really come out of nowhere.
County.
Thank you, Notts County. He hasn't really come out of nowhere, but like, that's the one thing we're gonna get with Hoff. He has trust in these young players, and by God, that trust has clearly done us wonders with Mahavo. Lewis, what do you have to say about Mahavo?
Oh, where do I start? This boy is unbelievable. The fact he's 19 years old and 2 years ago was playing in the National League, same with Kellen Fisher.
Yep.
Now they're both our starting fullback. Starting is a bit of Mahova. I think it's good we have two quality left backs, Mahova and Cresceni, because it offers that competition. It offers them who wants to start position more. Is certainly good at reading the game in terms of where, if he receives the ball, where's the best place to pass. He had a few mistakes today where he may have overhit a pass or maybe hit a pass but that's what happens when he's a young man.
Yeah,
that man he's very good.
Yep.
I love him. I do believe going forward, Cresceni offers that bit more, but don't get me wrong, Mahova can cross a ball. That's something we missed in a fullback for a long time. He can cross a ball. That man is a baller. And there's one other man I hope gets his faith soon in for it. But if you want to say anything about Mahova, I'll let you do that.
I think I know. I think I know who you're about to say, and that's Oscar Schratau, isn't it?
No, it's someone who wasn't in the squad today.
Miles?
Yeah.
I know you're a big Elliot Miles fan.
I'm a big Elliot Miles fan. If anyone doesn't know Elliot Miles, brought him in from MK Dons when he was about 15, and then as soon as he turned 17, he signed that pro deal. This man, he was playing for the under-21s at 16 years old, ladies and gentlemen. 16 years old playing for the U21s. He's had two league games against Sheffield United and Leeds because there was no one else on our bench. But I think he had very good spells against Sheffield United and Leeds compared to everyone else because everyone else was piss poor.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping if Borja Sainz does leave next season, which he might do, I'm not saying he will. If he does, I'd like to see Elliot try and fight for that left wing starting spot because I think that's our man going forward.
Yeah.
I really like him.
It's going to be an interesting thing seeing what kind of happens because all of a sudden we were kind of scared about Borja leaving because obviously if Borja leaves, it's going to be not necessarily good for
goal
us.
Contributions right there.
Yeah, but we do have solutions now. We have Miles, and we have Lewis Dobbin if we could bring him back possibly. Now, the fee with Villa, they just brought him in from Everton, I think. For what was it?
Like
22 mil? Oh, I thought it was like 22 mil.
I think that's like the add-ons and stuff
add-ons?
because they want to help each other out with FFP or whatever the new thing is because of academy players. So
yeah, okay. But he's an option, and he's definitely the more and more he plays, the more and more we're seeing how good Lewis Dobbin can be. Definitely a very solid player there, and it kind of gives us a little bit of reassurance if Borja were to leave. We have solutions. I do want to see more of Miles, though, because if we see more of him this season, then we can integrate him more in, and maybe if Borja does leave next season, then we'll be more comfortable bringing Miles fully into the mix. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But yeah, we don't have to worry about that just yet. We've got Borja for at least the second half of the season. We'll see what happens in the summer. Obviously in that 20 to 30 million range currently, that's kind of what the numbers are saying if Borja were to leave. So we will see what happens. Now, we did have a debutant today who we signed on deadline day, and that is right.
Jacob, right.
Yes, and
Jacob, right.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy with that appointment because it seems like we finally just got that Alex Tete replacement, the Ollie Skip replacement that it seems we've been waiting for. Obviously, we can't fault Kenny. Oh, I miss Ollie Skip, man. I miss Ollie Skip. But there is finally a successor to what it seems Kenny McLean. Obviously, we can't fault Kenny. He's fantastic. We love Kenny McLean, but 34, 33, 34 now. I think Kenny's 34.
33, I think.
He's 33. And obviously, probably, no matter what, I think we got at least two more years out of Kenny. Whether
Depends
that's
if he wants to go
starting
back to Scotland.
or if he wants to go back to Scotland. Yes, of course. That could... Maybe Kenny could have indicated to Hoff that he might want to do that next season. That's why we made sure we got right in. Because obviously we could definitely bring him in for a permanent fee of around less than $4 million. We've done bits there with that fee. Sorry, Swansea fans. I really apologize, but he chose the better club. It just seems that way. So we're sorry about that.
3 roles in 1 week for Swansea.
But yeah, very, very, very exciting player. And I hope to see more of him as well. He didn't really make a long appearance today from what I've heard, Lewis, and he was kind of he was all right when he came on just for the final few minutes. But he does have some minutes under his belt at Carrow Road, and there is a possibility that he could get more on Tuesday because it is a very, very, very quick back-to-back fixture home game at Carrow Road. So we have a lot to be excited for. And if we get a win there, this draw today can be all forgotten. Lewis, do you have anything to leave off the podcast with, the episode 1? If you're I think it's lagging.
Yeah, you lagged. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said, Lewis, do you have anything to leave off the podcast with?
Yes. Preston, watch out. Borsign's going to bag a hat-trick against you because that man, he loves scoring threes. Thank you.
First game back, he's going to want a piece of Preston. I will tell you that. Thanks for watching episode 1. I will see you guys on Tuesday for episode 2.